All right, welcome to Your Time, Your Money, the show where your time is just as valuable as your money, and we know that. We are so excited today. We are joined by, I think, a dynamic duo in our industry.
It's exciting.
And that's really the heads of Cetera Investors, which is, I think, a treat for both our clients and for reps that are looking to transition over to our platform.
Yep.
When you build a model or you build a toy for your kid, the one thing is never included. What is that?
Good instructions?
Well, but the batteries, right?
Batteries.
Right. And the easiest way that I explain to clients about, Cetera Investors is Iron Tree is powered by Cetera Investors. Mm-hmm. And there's many practices like Iron Tree or Independence that are powered by a broker dealer that supports us. And I think it's important today that the clients understand what that means for them as a client, as well as other advisors that are looking to be powered maybe by a different platform. Right. So let's get into a little bit. Let's do some intros, and we'll go from there. I don't want to speak on the part of everybody for their bios and stuff, but maybe just give a short snippet of backgrounds. We have John Lefferts from Cetera Investors, as well as Jen Hanau. Sorry about
that.
Okay. It's the
it's
last
tricky.
name here. Maybe start off by telling our listeners maybe what your positions are, and your view of Cetera Investors as the opportunity that exists.
Well, I'll start. John Lefferts, I started as an advisor in the field, got my CFP, my CLE, CHFC, professional degrees, and had a path. Do I build my own practice as an advisor or become a manager? And I chose the path of manager. And so I built a team of 50 advisors and went to Dallas, Texas to take over a failing branch and hopefully to earn my way back to my hometown of San Diego. I screwed up, by the way, and I ended up doing too well. Couldn't afford to go back to San Diego. Ended up as president and CEO of what was then AXA Advisors in New York City, about 8,000 advisors nationwide. And then when the wheels came out the economy in 2008, took a buyout and left the company, never to come back. Did some interesting things with private equity, built a broker-dealer and an RIA from scratch called Lion Street. And then decided to come back to my hometown and got involved with fintech, invested my own money and helped a fintech firm. And came back to my former firm, Equitable, formerly AXA, for the last 6 years. And decided to take a look around and found this gem that we called the best hidden secret out there, called Cetera Investors, and I'm glad to be the head of it and running Cetera Investors.
Excellent. And you're the most recent member of the executive management team. Jen, you want to talk a little bit about that transition over?
Sure. So I am at day, I think, 62 here at Cetera. I am the president and head of the RIA and Branches channel, which is our newly launched 5th channel. Yep. So very, very exciting. My background is such that I have spent 20 plus years really in the RIA space, and then over the past 3 years I really got to know the independent space. So the goal of the 5th channel is to really bring them together as much as we can, bring the best of both worlds together in this new channel. So I spent many years at both Charles Schwab and Fidelity Investments. I did work for an RIA right out of college. And then most recently, the past 3 years, I ran Mariner Independent, which is the independent business line at Mariner, which historically has been an RIA W-2 type model. So thrilled to be here and have this conversation with you all.
Yeah, and I think let's ping pong back a little bit on the difference for an advisor looking at us and a client looking at us. I think one of the most important differentiations of what it is that makes Cetera Investors unique is that we're kind of right in the middle of for advisors, the independent model where you want to be on your own, and the bank channel, so to speak, or the confined rep with set products or proprietary products. When advisors are looking, they're looking for one or the other sometimes, right? They're looking for the bank channel so that they have set hours, maybe they have lead source generation, they can come and go as they please to a certain location.
Banker's hours.
Yeah, banker's hours, right? right. And then the independent are, supposedly there for the higher payout, right? I mean, that's ultimately why a lot of people go to the independent, or the freedom to build their practice how they want. But we sit right in the middle, and that's a little unique in our industry because there's not a lot of other firms that I know of that are centered in between those two. Do you want to speak a little bit on the benefit to that?
It's unique but popular now. Back in the day, this is the late 90s. That dates me a little bit. Late 90s, you had one or two choices. One was a W-2 model, which was the wirehouse or the banks. That's Merrill Lynch and Payne Weber and all those types back in the day, or independent. And there was nothing in between, one or the other. And a lot of these wirehouse folks broke away to become independent. But what they found is that now that they're independent, they are, chief cook and bottle washer. They pay attention to the paper clips, the leases, the staffing, the payroll, the compliance. They have so many jobs, and they realize they can't do it all. And so what they're looking for is, hey, I don't want to go all the way back to my W-2, but is there something in the middle? Is there a way that I can offload all this minutia and the stuff that keeps me away from my clients so I can be a better service to my clients and build my practice better? And that's what supported independence, or what we call turnkey independence is the ability to offload all the minutia, the payroll, the office space, all the stuff that is not client-facing, so you can spend more time facing your clients and do a better job for them. So I think it's a great model. There are a handful of firms that have figured it out, and Cetera is one of them.
And Jen, we were chatting earlier. You had went the opposite way. You had went from the independent, kind of managing the independent channel through RIA to the trust to the bank channel, which was kind of like swimming upstream, right? A little bit different, but same view is that we're somewhere in the middle there.
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, there is a lot of research out there that shows that while RIAs, there's a fit for, I'll say, every model. Many advisors who establish their own RIAs really feel that why they got into the business, which is to serve clients, they get further and further away from that. And so that can be a real dissatisfier for those owners because, they envisioned it being a way for them to build a business and be able to increase the value of their business, both for themselves and their families, but also for their employees and for their clients, because theoretically you should be able to offer more as you build. But I think what they've found is that they're pulled in so many different directions that that ideal state is really hard to get to. So we're seeing a fair number of individuals who have started RIAs come back into this type of model because it really is the best of both worlds, where you can build the enterprise value, where you can create the type of culture that you want for your employees and for your clients, but you do have access to all of these centralized support teams that are specialists and really good at what they do, so that you can focus on what's most important, which is ultimately your clients and their outcomes.
And that's a huge benefit to the client.
Yeah, and I was thinking, for myself, what I love to do, I love to sit with a client. I love to do planning with a client. That's the most fun ever for me. But when, having the support, and we have a large staff, probably one of the largest staffs at Cetera for our group, and having the support that we have, I would not be having as much fun as I have right now, because I'd be, having to worry about all these things that we're talking about. So
yeah, I think that's a key point that I want listeners to understand in both ends. Is one, if you're an independent out there, or even a captive agent in a bank channel, is there's freedom of not having to worry about the minutia of being a business owner. Mm-hmm. You have the ability to walk in, get right to work, get right to servicing your clients, and I would argue more efficiently, because you're not worried about a lease agreement. You're not worried about the copier breaking down and the phone systems and is the power out or things like that. That there's another entity there, Cetera Investors, doing that for us.
It's a true partnership.
Yeah, it's a
with,
true
with, you know,
partnership.
with us as business owners with Cetera.
And
support.
a client might be listening now. Well, what does it have to do with me? It has everything to do with the client, because if I can spend more time on the money management, on servicing, on moving them forward with their estate plan, and having that support from a trust service or estate planning guidance through Cetera Investors, it allows me more time to delve into your financial situation.
Right.
Right. And time is money.
Yep.
Right. And well, obviously,
your
time, your money. The shameless plug here. You know, which I think is very important. The other avenue from the recruiting side is it creates a system and network of support for succession planning that an independent may not have. Yep. I know, you know, when I helped manage the Albany branch for, gosh, probably a good 15, 20 years of my career, it was senior advisors coming in, Mark, I don't know what I'm going to do. I don't know how I'm going to retire. And think about that as a client. If your advisor doesn't know how they're going to retire, what does that mean for you, the continuation of your financial plan?
Yep.
Right.
And that is a concern of clients. Right. Yeah. They're going, well, how do I know you're going to be here? When I'm retired?
Well, it's a big deal in the industry. I mean, you look at, and I mentioned in a meeting we had earlier today, that 40% of all advisors plan to retire in the next 10 years. Many do not have a succession plan. So, you know, you better be with an advisor who does have a succession plan, because that's, as a client, my livelihood. You know, that's what I exist on. So that's very, very important.
And whether we believe it or not, one gray hair or less hair for me, that shows the client is thinking, when is Mark going to retire? Or when is Jim Smith going to retire? And the longer you hang on, it creates uncertainty within their family of what's going to happen, because they haven't introduced them to the next level of their plan, which is the next advisor.
We do that a lot with our clients. You know, I've been asked the question, you know, well, what would happen if you weren't here? Well, you know, Mark or Justin or Matt would be here for you. You know, that's our internal succession plan.
Yeah, and for us, that's the benefit of an ensemble or a team.
Yep.
Right? But even independent advisors within Cetera, we work in a branch together. Some of our clients realize that when they walk in the office, there's another 15, 20 advisors here that we've had the benefit of working with at least 25 years for me, and knowing that these are people that are capable of continuing on with the plan. They've been through the same hurdles that we've been through, from First Investors to Foresters, now to Cetera. So there's strength in that, I think, from a client standpoint. It's somebody coming in to manage your assets that understands where you came from.
Right.
You know, and ultimately, for an advisor looking to be here, there's distinct advantages, because the onboarding to a practice that has multiple independents or ensembles that are looking to acquire creates a shopping opportunity, I would guess, right?
Absolutely.
Actually, I have a question for you guys. We spoke a little bit about this before we were on air. We're live. No, we talked about the boutique types of firms, you know, proprietary product versus open architecture.
Yep.
You guys want to, just chat a little bit about that?
Yeah, I mean, the business has changed. As I mentioned before, there was that binary choice of independent or W-2. It's evolved over time, and the reality is that it's not a binary choice anymore. And the industry has collapsed up. You know, there are now just 4 major wirehouses. You know, there used to be quite a few more. Same is happening in the independent broker-dealer space. 3,000 or so independent broker-dealers out there, of which I think about 15 matter. And Cetera, happens to be in the top 3. So you've got a firm behind the firm. You've got all of this infrastructure. And as far as who's going to be a survivor, clearly Cetera is going to be a survivor. One of the 4, if there are 4, or whatever it might be. And they're here to be behind you. And what has happened, too, is that the industry has kind of merged. It used to be you were a stockbroker handling stocks, you were an insurance agent handling insurance, or you were an RIA just giving financial advice. Now it's one and the same. It's turned into a holistic approach where you handle everything. And that's where teams really matter, because you can't know it all. So if you have a team around you that has specialties throughout the team, you know you're being better served as a client because you have a team that is behind you.
Yeah, I think here a good analogy, and I like cooking analogies, but a good analogy would be like an onion. There's different layers of teaming that goes on in Cetera. Yeah. You have our teaming as an ensemble, Justin, Adam, Matt, myself, our team, but then you have a branch structure that's a team as well. Yeah. And many of our clients are familiar with the webinars and the seminars and the education or appreciation events that they do that we kind of piggyback on. If you're an advisor at another firm, you don't get that. You don't get this layer of service, of appreciation events, of educational events. And then you have the outer layer of the onion, so to speak, which is CI and their support. Gene Goldman, who's probably one of the most interviewed individuals in all of finance, will come in and do a seminar for us. Mm-hmm. He will do a webinar. He will bring his expertise to the table. It's just another layer that I think is lost in the world of recruiting or transitioning of advisors is that they don't see this layer of onions that CI has. Right. And by the way, it smells pretty good too. But anyways,
you don't cry.
And you don't cry. But that's all benefit to the client, right? That's multiple layers of service
support
to a client.
That support that that we are able to give beyond a normal situation.
Yeah, and I know Cetera in general and our our owner Genstar has invested a lot of money in building out this model. Jen, you want to talk a little bit about like what that attraction is for people coming over and from a corporate standpoint to benefit growth within this model?
Yeah, absolutely. Cetera is really committed to ensuring that advisors never, ever need to leave Cetera. So we are actively thinking through what are the models that are needed today, but what are the models that are needed in the future to ensure that as we're out in the marketplace that we can dive deep and really understand what are the goals of specific advisors, what are the needs of the clients, and ensure that we're architecting models around those specific needs. That benefits our Cetera investors, advisors, and clients, because as we continue to grow, we're going to be bringing more capabilities to Cetera investors. So we talked a little bit about the fact that we now have a trust company and we have an advanced planning team. So as advisors are coming across clients with unique needs, you've got resources that are here within the enterprise that you can just reach into to ensure that we're doing exactly what that client needs today. And that's very difficult to build out within, a specific smaller firm, just those types of resources. So it's really, really exciting time.
Yeah, and I think a key point for both advisors and clients is that, at least what I've noticed, is that the growth has been strategic and it's been centered on service to the client. When we acquired a trust practice, it was really looking at the specific state to be in for that trust practice, which New Hampshire had distinct advantages that other states did not have. And this is, we're talking higher net worth, ultimate end line conversation of why we acquired a trust practice, why our acquisition of Advantex for tax services is very important for advisors and clients to understand, is that those moves are very strategic versus names not to be mentioned that just go and gobble up other firms.
Right. It's not growth for the sake of just growth.
Yeah. Yep. So, and I would ask any client and even an advisor looking elsewhere, why do firms acquire? Right? Are they just the Pac-Man gobbling up those little dots, which you may be working for that firm right now listening to us, or is it a strategic to help you improve your business and your practice? And I think that's why the relationship is so good between IronTree and Cetera Investors, because I can walk in day one with my business plan and be able to plug it or power into CI, which then allows us to grow a little bit more efficiently. I don't think we would be having a podcast and a supportive channel if it wasn't in CI.
Right.
The ability to take office space, which is very valuable, right, while you're growing, and to be able to take a vision and put it into, like this podcast, it allows us as an independent to, feel supported, because we weren't like, no, you can't do that. Our ideas weren't poo-pooed. But two, it allows us to say, hey, you know what, maybe you at another firm can find value in coming over to IronTree and CI for your succession plan or for your recruiting. So I just want to thank both of you for allowing us that opportunity to build and grow, within this structure. And I know, Adam, you feel the same.
Yeah. And I was thinking when you were, your point you just made, we still come across crazy situations, different situations. Well, that's different. Well, that's a weird tax question. And to have the support that we can just pick up the phone and have, the support on the back end to have those answers, to have that type of planning we need to do. It's huge.
Yeah.
Huge.
And not be on hold for 5 hours.
Right.
to get the result.
Yes, yeah. Yep.
Which is also
that's
very
a key.
important.
Well, I can say, because my prior firm, we cleared through the largest independent broker-dealer out there that I call the Death Star. And I will tell you, that situation is happening where you get a call back maybe 5 days later, where Cetera has been very strategic about their growth. And we like to say we make big feel small, because you're not one of thousands. Everyone knows who Mark Esley is, and
we hope. I mean, we're getting there,
but it's true. You get that personal touch, and you can talk to the CEO or the president of the company. They know who you are. That doesn't happen in many places, but it does here.
True. So hopefully our listeners take a little bit more away from kind of the demographics between Cetera Investors and IronTree, and kind of how we work, in a relationship that is symbiotic in nature. And if you do have questions, you can reach out to IronTree Financial at ceterais.com. You can always reach us at 800-222-3202. Check us out on Facebook, LinkedIn, Twitter. And if you'd like to find out a little bit more about a career at Cetera Investors and how they can support you, if you'd like to find out a little bit about joining IronTree Financial and as an advisor, you can always reach out to us. And if you're a client and you have a gray-haired advisor that's been in the business for 40 years and they cannot answer that question of what they're going to do when they retire, refer them along to IronTree. We're very good at helping them with their succession plan, and if we can help advisors retire, we can help you retire as well. As always, it's your time,
your money.
All right, guys, thank you for tuning in to another episode of Your Time, Your Money. We really appreciate it. If you enjoyed today's episode, please feel free to share this with friends, family, coworkers, anyone else that you think might be interested. If you do have questions or topics, you can always email them to irontreefinancial@ceterais.com. Please follow us on LinkedIn, Facebook, Spotify, Google Play, and many other sources that were available. And you can reach us at 844-444-YTYM. And as always, it's your time and your money. Cetera Investors is the marketing name of Cetera Investment Services. Securities and insurance products are offered through Cetera Investment Services, LLC, member FINRA, SIPC. Advisory services are offered through Cetera Investment Advisors, LLC. Cetera is under separate ownership from any other named entity.